Hey, music lovers. Today we're going back to October 15th, 1988 for MusicGoldmine.com Top 10s Revisited, a time of big hair, boom boxes, and some seriously iconic tunes. The Billboard Hot 100 chart was on fire that week. Brandi from MusicGoldmine.com here. Welcome back to the channel. Get ready to dive into the top 10 songs and uncover the trivia, stories, and nostalgia behind them, and an incredible piece of music memorabilia for the number 2 song. Ready? Let's count down from number 10 to the top spot. Let's go. Starting us off at number 10, we have Joan Jett and the Blackhearts with I Hate Myself for Loving You, a song that defined badassery in the late 80s. I Hate Myself for Loving You was released in 1988 as a lead single from Joan Jett's album Up Your Alley. And wow, did it make waves. It reached number 8 on the Billboard Hot 100, making it one of her biggest hits since I Love Rock and Roll. But the success didn't stop there. It earned Jett a Grammy nomination for Best Female Rock Vocal Performance. This song proved that Joan Jett wasn't just a flash in the pan. She was here to stay as a rock and roll icon. Jett co-wrote it with the legendary songwriter Desmond Child. If you don't know Desmond, let me fill you in. He's the mastermind behind hits for artists like Bon Jovi, Aerosmith, and Kiss. The working title for the song was originally I Hate Myself Because I Can't Get Laid. Yep, true story. Desmond Child suggested toning it down to make it more universal. Probably a good call, right? Up Your Alley would be certified platinum in the US. Next at number 9 is Wild Wild West by the Escape Club. Wild Wild West isn't your typical 80s pop song. It's funky blend of rock, dance, and spoken word with those unforgettable lyrics about living in a dystopian world where everything is, wild. The song was a huge hit, reaching number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100 in November of 1988, making the Escape Club the only British band to top the US charts without even releasing the song in the UK. Crazy, right? The lyrics of Wild Wild West paint a picture of a chaotic, over-the-top world, with lines about James Dean, the Beach Boys, and high fashion. But it's not just random fun. It's actually a commentary on societal excess and cultural shifts in the 1980s. Think of it as a playful dystopian anthem. And let's not forget that spoken word breakdown. Heading for the 90s, living in the 80s. The Escape Club might not be a household name, but Wild Wild West put them on the map. Their mix of rock and dance definitely made them stand out. Coming in at number 8 is Don't Be Cruel by Bobby Brown. It was the title track of Bobby Brown's 1988 album, and it was a massive success. The song hit number 1 on the Billboard Hot R&B Songs chart and climbed to number 8 on the Hot 100. But that's just the start. The album itself became the best-selling album of 1989, spending over 6 months in the top 5. Bobby Brown's Don't Be Cruel album sold over 7 million copies in the US alone and was certified 7 times platinum. 7 million copies. That's more than double the population of Brown's hometown of Boston. Talk about hitting it big. So who do we have to thank for this masterpiece? Well, enter songwriting and production legends Babyface and L.A. Reid, along with Daryl Simmons. These guys were on fire in the late 80s and early 90s, crafting hit after hit. They blended R&B with funk and hip-hop to create the New Jack Swing sound we all love. And let's not forget Bobby himself. After leaving New Edition, he was on a mission to prove he could stand out as a solo artist. With his smooth vocals and confident attitude, he took Don't Be Cruel and made it an anthem of heartbreak and swagger all at once. Let's talk about the music video. It's peak late 80s cool. Bobby's decked out in sharp outfits, showing off his moves in front of neon lights and a high-energy crowd. This video wasn't just a visual treat, it was a blueprint for what R&B stars would aim for in the years to come. This song and album marked Bobby's transition from boy band member to solo superstar. This song would be certified gold. Taking us to number 7 is Don't You Know What the Night Can Do by Steve Winwood. This track comes from Steve Winwood's 1988 album Roll With It. The song is all about the magic and mystery of nighttime. Perfect for a romantic evening or just staring out your window with a glass of wine. Steve's soulful voice, paired with that smooth blend of rock and jazz, makes this track pure ear candy. The song climbed its way to number 6 on the Billboard Hot 100 and topped the mainstream rock chart. Winwood was already a big name by this point, and this track cemented his legacy as one of the most versatile and talented artists of his time. Don't You Know What the Night Can Do wasn't just a radio hit. It was also part of a major ad campaign. Michelob Beer used the song in a slick commercial celebrating nightlife, complete with scenes of fancy dinners, city lights, and friends raising their glasses. Steve actually wrote the song with the Michelob campaign in mind, which was a pretty bold move, actually. It's really rare for a song to be created for both artistic and commercial purposes, but hey, it worked here. And the beer campaign, it became one of the most memorable ad campaigns of the 80s. The Roll With It album would be certified 2 times platinum for selling over 2 million copies. Coming in at number 6, we've got the song that made the world smile, Don't Worry, Be Happy by Bobby McFerrin. Released in 1988, Don't Worry, Be Happy was the first a cappella song to hit number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100. That's right, no instruments, just Bobby McFerrin's incredible voice creating all those layers of sound. And it stayed at the top for 2 weeks. Not too shabby for a song with such a simple message, huh? The title of the song was inspired by a famous phrase from Indian spiritual leader Mahar Baba. He often said, "Don't worry, be happy," which Bobby saw on a poster one day, and boom, an idea was born. Sometimes it's the simplest messages that resonate the most. It's been featured in tons of movies, commercials, and TV shows over the years. You might remember it from Cocktail with Tom Cruise, which gave the song an extra boost when it was featured on the movie's soundtrack. Bobby McFerrin isn't just the guy behind one of the happiest songs ever. He's also a ridiculously talented musician, a 10-time Grammy winner and Lifetime Achievement Award recipient. I actually had the honor of being there in 2023 when he received the Lifetime honor, and he was so touched, and he even gave the audience a little taste of that infamous a cappella talents. It was an awesome night. Bobby is known for his incredible vocal range and ability to turn his voice into a one-man orchestra. Seriously, the man can mimic instruments like nobody else. And here's something cool. He almost didn't release the song as a single. He thought of it as just like a fun little experiment. But once it took off, it became a signature hit. And even though Bobby's music career spans jazz, classical, and world music, this is the song that made him a household name. The album featuring Don't Worry, Be Happy, Simple Pleasures went platinum. Taking us to number 5 is Information Society with What's on Your Mind, Pure Energy. Released in 1988, What's on Your Mind, Pure Energy was the breakout hit for the Minneapolis-based synth pop group. With its infectious beat, catchy hooks, and futuristic vibe, it became an instant dance floor favorite, climbing all the way to number 3 on the Billboard Hot 100. And it wasn't just a commercial hit. It was a pioneer in blending high-energy dance music with nerdy pop culture references. The title phrase, Pure Energy, comes from a sample of Mr. Spock. Yes, Leonard Nimoy himself from Star Trek. You hear it in that iconic monotone delivery, Pure Energy. Nerd points for days. Here's where it gets even cooler. The band was heavily inspired by sci-fi, and they thought it would be awesome to incorporate Spock's voice into their song. They got the sample from the Star Trek episode Errand of Mercy, where Spock is describing energy efficiency. But here's the twist. Information Society had to get permission from Paramount Pictures, and luckily, they said yes. Leonard Nimoy even gave his blessing. Can you imagine Spock bobbing his head to this jam? I like to think he did. Even today, if you hit up an 80s night at your local club, you'll probably hear this track blasting through the speakers. It's timeless and still makes you want to dance like it's 1988. This song would be certified gold, selling over 500,000 copies. Coming in at number 4 is, as amazing as it sounds, our second song on this countdown entitled Don't Be Cruel. This one has Cheap Trick covering the Elvis Presley classic. And if you know Cheap Trick, you know they love to blur the lines between power pop, hard rock, and all-out awesome. And they brought it here, rocking it with their own twist. They turned this smooth, soulful hit into a high-energy rock anthem. And that was exactly what the song needed to stand out in the late 80s. Now let's talk about the band's energy. Cheap Trick is known for their electrifying live shows, and you could really feel that in Don't Be Cruel. Lead guitarist Rick Nielsen is always about pushing the limits with his wild solos. And Robin Zander's vocals, man, he can scream and still hit those perfect notes, and still does. It's like he was giving us all a little piece of Elvis, but with a little more edge. All right, now let's talk about what happened when Cheap Trick hit the scene with their version of Don't Be Cruel. The song quickly climbed the charts, peaking at number 4 on the Billboard Hot 100, and became one of their most recognizable songs. This is one of those songs that blends past and present in the most epic way possible. The song was on their Lap of Luxury album, which went platinum. Next, the number 3 song of the week, Groovy Kind of Love by Phil Collins. Now, Groovy Kind of Love isn't originally a Phil Collins creation. Nope, this one's a cover, making us back-to-back covers on this week's Top 10. But it was Phil who took this catchy tune and turned it into the smooth, romantic hit we all know and love today. The original version was definitely more upbeat, a bit poppy, and had that cool 60s charm. But in 1988, when Phil Collins recorded his version, he slowed things down a bit, gave it a little more romance and laid-back vibe, and added his signature sound. And guess what? It totally worked. His version became a massive hit, reaching number 1 on the Billboard Adult Contemporary chart and top 10 of the Hot 100. Talk about a total transformation. Phil Collins recorded Groovy Kind of Love for the Buster movie soundtrack, where he also played a role. Yep, in case you didn't know, Buster was a film about the great train robbery in the UK, a real story, and Phil played the real-life character Buster Edwards. And you know what? This song has made its way into pulp culture too. You've heard it in TV shows, movies, and even in commercials. I mean, Groovy Kind of Love really became synonymous with 80s romance. It's been featured in everything from The Wedding Singer to The Office, and it's a guaranteed way to set the mood for any romantic moment. This song would be certified gold. Coming in at number 2, we have Def Leppard's only Billboard Hot 100 number 1 hit, Love Bites. This monster ballad was released in 1987 off of Def Leppard's Hysteria album, which, by the way, is a rock masterpiece. But did you know Love Bites wasn't always meant to be a single? Originally, the song was just a track the band had fun with during recording sessions, but it ended up becoming one of their most beloved tunes. The song was written by the band's Joe Elliott and late guitarist Steve Clark. The guys were looking for something different from their usual hard rock hits, so they crafted this darker, more introspective love song. Okay, let's talk about the sound, because Love Bites is one of those songs that has the perfect balance of power and vulnerability. You've got those soaring vocals from Joe Elliott, which really bring the emotion to life, especially when he belts out that iconic line, "Love bites, love bleeds." And the walls of guitars, drums, and bass, total perfection. And did you know the band actually tuned their guitars down half step to give the song a deeper, more haunting tone? They also went all out on production. Hysteria was produced by the one and only Robert John Mutt Lange, who was famous for creating the huge, polished sound we all know and love in 80s rock, like several Def Leppard albums and others like AC/DC's Back in Black. When Love Bites hit number 1, it was a massive turning point for Def Leppard. It was proof that the band could pull off more than just rock anthems. They could create something emotionally resonant too. Love Bites is still a staple in their live shows, and it continues to bring the house down every time they perform it. It's one of those songs that instantly transports you back to the 80s. Hysteria has been certified 12 times platinum, and we have a super cool CRIA Canadian Diamond Award currently for sale for this classic album. Topping the chart at number 1 is UB40's reggae-inspired cover of Neil Diamond's Red Red Wine. Yes, our third cover of the countdown. So grab your wine glass and let's get into the story of Red Red Wine. Neil Diamond's version was more of a traditional pop song, but UB40 took the track and gave it a totally fresh reggae spin, and boom, instant classic. Their version went to the top of the charts in the US and the UK, and today it is still one of the band's most iconic tracks. So thanks Neil Diamond for the inspiration, and thanks UB40 for turning it into the ultimate reggae anthem. The band's name, UB40, actually comes from a government form in the UK. It stands for Unemployment Benefit Form 40, because at the time, the band's members were all receiving unemployment benefits. The line, "Red, red wine, you make me feel so fine," was originally written by Neil Diamond to reflect his feelings about a lover. The UB40 took that theme and made it all about wine instead of love. It's a clever twist, right? They made the wine the true healer in the story, adding a little more of that laid-back reggae charm to the whole thing. Now let's talk about the huge impact Red Red Wine had. It wasn't just a hit, it became a staple of pop culture. It helped bring reggae music to an even wider audience in the 80s, and their version was a game changer for them. Here's a cool behind-the-scenes tidbit. UB40 actually recorded their version in just one take. They were in the studio jamming and decided to give it a go. What you hear on the track is that first raw take. Talk about a perfect example of that spontaneous magic. Red Red Wine would be certified gold in the US. And there you have it, our MusicGoldmine.com top 10s revisited for the week of October 15th, 1988. What a fantastic lineup, right? From 2 songs with the same title, to 3 cover tunes, to synth pop, to arena rock, this countdown had it all. Which track is your favorite? Drop a comment below and let us know. Also, tell us any weeks you'd like to see revisited. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more trips down a musical memory lane. You can also check out the links to the Def Leppard Diamond Award and our store, where you can find items from many of this week's featured artists. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.